Last week, I wrote a piece for the Daily Mail about what I went through last year. And I just personally wanted to take this opportunity to thank everyone for the support and all the well wishes and the love that I've received. And I wanted to say a big thank you to you, Saira, for the lovely piece that you wrote about me in your column.
Well, listen, it was the least that I can do. And I start my column like this, Andrea. She is drop-dead gorgeous, successful, great at her job, smart and funny.
And then she wrote about you.
And honestly, when I read what you'd gone through, you've got your book out and you've, kindly sent it for me to read. I have to say, deep down, first, I was really shocked. And secondly, I felt really guilty because we see you all the time. And there are so many times where I did think, oh, she's acting a bit weird. I thought you're losing a bit of weight and I thought, oh, she must be on one of the funny diets again. You were a bit withdrawn, quiet, not really hanging around afterwards to have a chat. And I just used to sort of say, you all right, Andrea? And you just said, yeah, I'm fine. So in those situations, I really genuinely didn't know what to do. And I feel guilty for not having pursued it a bit more. And I rang you up and I said, can you help me to understand if you are going through that, what friends should do? Because, Cole, we used to say it, didn't we?
We talked about it a lot.
Well, can I just interject as well? People at home are thinking, what actually happened to her? I had a breakdown last year and it was a culmination of many, many, many things. It was like death by paper cut. So it wasn't like one great big traumatic event. And it culminated last summer where I actually had a breakdown. I burned out. Basically, at home, we call it face planting. But yes, I know my behaviour was changing
and we used to talk about it, didn't we?
Did.
When you were talking
behind my back, behind your back.
Nice. No, because we were genuinely worried. But the problem is, you weren't letting us in.
Yeah.
So I know a few times we'd all go, "Are you all right?" And text us if you need us. And you were like, I'm fine now. I'm just busy, or I'm just tired, or I've got to dash off home. And now that all this has come out, like Saira said, you do think, I don't know what else we possibly could have done.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult situation for anyone. So, Denise has been through the same thing, of course. So what is the best thing for somebody to do?
Because you don't know, because you don't want to sort of say too much in case you're intruding and you don't want it. So I rang you up and I said, look, if people are going through that, and I've got a friend going through it right now, what's the best thing to do without kind of burdening you either?
Yeah. Well, I think Denise, you can answer this as well. You go.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just, I'm so proud of you. I was so proud of you when you came out. I knew it was happening. I knew you were frightened for many, many reasons. You were frightened of what people were going to think and say, which is what a lot of us who've had mental illness do. And I think that it's going to help so many people, not only to read about what you went through, but to see you now at the other side of it, because I think people who suffer with depression and postmenopausal problems, or whatever reason they reach that plateau, is the fact that they can see the hope, even if they're in it now watching, that you now, even though we're in a global mess, you are still in a much better place personally. And I think, Saira, just letting people know you're there is sometimes enough. Just honestly, because if people keep saying, can I do anything? Come on, let's do this, let's do that. It doesn't really help. It's just to know that you're there and you understand.
I think what's interesting, Denise, as well, is that so many people were surprised when obviously I'd never spoken about it before, and then I wanted to sort of put together all the advice that I was given to help piece me back together again, because I like to pay it forward, if you like, and sort of pass it on. But a lot of the accusations that I've had throughout my nearly 25 TV career is, oh, Andrea McLean, she's very safe, she's very bland, she always sort of colours in the lines. Well, a lot of that came from fear, and it came from fear of sort of stepping out of those boundaries, and it was a way of keeping myself contained. So, you talk about the whole Stepford wife thing, being a Stepford wife at home. I think I was a Stepford wife at work. And I think many, many women do this. And this is the sort of response that I've had after the article that came out last week. There's a lot of women, you say, how are you? I'm fine. I'm totally fine. How are things? Great. They're just great. And actually, you're completely cracking up and falling apart. But you don't want to burden your work colleagues. You don't want to burden your friends. You know that everyone else is carrying around their own...
People are afraid of losing their jobs.
That's right, Jen.
Absolutely, Denise.
And
absolutely.
Andrea, I think what you said to me was it's the little things. And Den, you mentioned something in the meeting earlier today that, you know, when somebody's broken their leg, what do? You do the little things. You send them a card, you phone them up, you send them a WhatsApp message.
Well, 99% of people off with a mental illness don't get a get well card.
That's right. That's right. And I think you know, in your own words, it's the little things.
Yeah.
If you do feel there's something there and they're saying they're okay, send them a message, send them a card, send them some flowers.
Yeah.
You know, just be involved, but not sort of in your face.
And I think for me, you know, it is a little bit hurtful when you can feel people sort of pulling away, but you don't quite know how to bridge that gap. So obviously, one of the biggest givers of advice, I suppose is a good way to put it, is Mind. And Mind have some great tips here. Keep in touch. It may be hard for that person to have the energy to reach out. Even just a text or an email can go a long way. Don't be critical. Try not to blame the person and put too much pressure on them to get better straight away. Keep a balance. You might feel like you want to take over to help someone, but it's important to let them do things for themselves. Support them to get help. You can't force someone to get help if they don't want to. And try not to make assumptions. Your perspective might be useful, but try not to assume you already know what might have caused their feelings. So some really good advice there on Mind. And we've also put the advice on our website as well. But I want to say a huge thank you. Thank you very much. And to everyone as well.
Well done for being so brave as well.
Thank you. Yeah.